Hakuna Matata, what a wonderful phrase. Hakuna Matata. I'm done.
Copyright claim.
Dang it. My bad.
So many worries
For the rest of your days.
will never be problem free. Their philosophy.
YouTube will screw us.
Communications tool used the world over where people can come together to bitch about movies and share pornography with one another. This is a site populated by militant movie buffs, sad, pathetic little bastards living in their parents' basement, downloading what they think is inside information about movies and actors they claim to despise yet can't stop discussing. But Affleck was the bomb in Phantoms.
Word, bitch. Phantom's like a motherfucker.
What's up now?
I don't give a shit about winning that G1. To be honest with you, it's not even a real tournament to me. I see the same guys since I got here, sitting at the same table with a couple new faces over there. This is my second year. I'm seeing on social media that I gotta prove something. Fuck you. I ain't gotta prove shit to none of y'all. I've been proving myself since the day I fucking set foot on this goddamn island.
It makes me sick to think what you did to me, holding me back. You guys talk about being students of the game. I am the f***ing game, JR. There is nobody that eats, sleeps, or breathes this business more than me.
You asked me the same question like 15 times. Like, this got sprung on me the same time as it did you. And now I got all this other stuff to worry about, and you just keep asking me the same question over and over. I gave you the same answer every time. I said, I don't know, all right? And I'm not going to manufacture some answer for you and be like, if you want, like, go find somebody else and give them the script. And just have your little show about somebody else that wants to read your script. Like, stop trying to get me to say what you... Stop trying to, like, lead me into saying the things you want me to say, okay?
Do you remember the last time you called me a coward? We were on the set of Talking Smack. And I got in your face, and what did you do? Did you fight for your dreams? Did you punch me in the face? No, you got up and you walked away. Because as much as you pretend that you want to fight me, all you really want is this. This, Daniel. You just want me and you locked in conflict because you know it furthers your career. I have carried you on my back since I was a pro on NXT. 10 years of fighting on the indies, Daniel, to get noticed. And it took me 5 minutes of getting in your face on Talking Smack to make you famous.
This world is such a, and when I say this world, I mean it. I don't mean in an ideal sense. I mean in every day, every little thing you do. It's such a, gimme. Everybody back off. You know, everybody's like, you taught that from school, everywhere. Big business. You want to be successful? You want to be like Trump? Gimme. Push. Step. Crush. That's how it all is. And it's like, nobody ever stops. Just, you know, I feel like, instead of us just being like, slavery's bad, bad whitey. I mean, all right, let's stop that. And everybody's smart enough to know that, I mean, we've been slighted, and we want ours. And I don't mean by, like, ours, 40 acres and a mule, because we're past that. But we need help. I mean, for us to be on our own 2 feet, us meaning youth, or us meaning black people, whatever you want to take it for us to be on our own 2 feet, we do need help. Because we have been here, we have been a good friend. If you want to make it a relationship type thing, we have been there, and now we deserve our payback. It's like you got a friend that you don't never look out for. You know, you dressed up in jewels. Now America's got jewels, and they paid and everything, and they lending money to everybody except us. And it's like, you know, everybody need a little help on their way to being, you know, self-reliant. You know what I'm saying? That's the whole thing about the album, about the Special Olympics. Everybody need a little something and they to be independent. No independent person just grew up and was born independent. You worked and you learned teamwork and you learned cooperation and unity and struggle, and then you became independent. And we have to teach that and instill that. And why is it that they want to do that? I mean, if this is truly a melting pot in the country where we care about it, and Lady Liberty got a hand like this, she really loves us, then we really need to be like that. And it needs to be the black kids. If there's a white person who got money, then you need to help them. You need to help black kids, Mexican kids, Korean kids, whatever. But it needs to be real. And it needs to be before we all die, and then you say, oh, I made a mistake. We should have gave them some money. We really should have helped these folks. It's going to be too late. You know what I'm saying? And then that's when you got to pay your own karma. And that's when God makes you punish. When God punishes you. Because I feel like, it's too much money here. I mean, nobody should be hitting lotto for $36 million and we got people starving in the streets. That is not idealistic. That's just real. That is just stupid. There's no way Michael Jackson should have, or whoever Jackson, should have $1 million, $1 billion, and then there's people starving. There's no way. There's no way that these people should own planes and their people don't have houses, apartments, shacks, drawers, pants.
People would say, well, they earned it. Now you go out and earn it.
If they earned it, then I think that's good, and I think that they deserve it. But even if you earned it, you still owe. Because look at me, I don't have that mega money, but I feel guilty walking by somebody. I got to give them some mail. And if I know I got $3,000 in my pocket, I feel like it's wrong to give that person a quarter. Or
I gotta stay on the positive vibe. All my people's gotta stay on the positive vibe, The negativity just brings failure, And we ain't trying to fail in this game. We're trying to succeed.
Hey, I feel, hey.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to another edition of the Hoots Podcast. It is December 13th, 2018, getting ready to close out the year of professional wrestling. My name is Josh Lopez. You can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at NotoriousJoshi. We do this podcast every single Thursday. You can check it out here on this YouTube channel. Make sure to subscribe to the channel, like it, tell a friend about the podcast. You can find it at youtube.com/The Hoots Podcast. I am Josh Lopez. Like I said, you can check out all my play-by-play articles on ProWrestlingTranscriptions.com. I am not alone as we do this podcast every single week. I'm alongside the Clown Prince of Podcasting, Adam Daly. What's going on, my man?
Hey, what's going on, Josh? So are we live where people can see us?
I think so. That could be a good thing or a bad thing. I don't know.
Oh, there we go. So we're going to change that. So what's up? Yeah, man. On a limited schedule again. Things are good though. Got some notes for today. I don't think anything's wrestling based, but we'll go from there.
If you want to interact with us, just hit us up in the chat room. We got a couple different topics that we're going to breach today, especially coming off the heels of SmackDown Live. So today's topic, we're going to hit on 205 Live matches. If you could construct a 205 Live pay-per-view where you had 205 Live guys against guys from Raw or SmackDown, or even NXT, what matches would you like to see? So Mustafa Ali fought the new Daniel Bryan on SmackDown this past Tuesday, and now it opened up windows for other 205 Live wrestlers to appear on Raw or SmackDown. I mean, we recently see the Lucha House Party get a couple victories over the Revival over the last couple of weeks, so it's just a topic I wanted to do something different instead of talking about I don't know, this dumb dirt sheet podcast nonsense that really doesn't matter at the end of the day. We're here to have fun. I don't want to repeat topics on this show. We don't need to have a state of wrestling every fucking week. I think it's kind of pointless.
You don't? Why not?
I don't know. I mean,
just repeat, regurgitate, and recycle.
No? Rinse, repeat. Oh, man. So, yeah, we're here to have some fun. Thank you guys so much for supporting the show over the last couple of weeks as we made this transition. And we'll have our other segments like we do this time next week. Maybe talk some NFL at the end of the show. And we're always open to suggestions. So feel free to hit us up in the chat room and we'll interact with you guys. So, how's your weekend?
It was wild, man. Went to a party for the business I'm a part of, and kind of got a little bit of recognition. Got a nice new HD laptop here that's touchscreen, and I actually feel like not a poor person, even though I still am. But at least for stuff like this, I don't. So if I wanted to, look, there I am. I could actually put myself wearing the Numpty shirt right now. I mean, I could show you guys this if I wanted to. I'd rather not because I don't need to be seen on camera. I don't think any at this stage of my life, but. Yeah, man. No, it's Sam and I went to the casino because that's where our banquet was. Won a little bit of money. Can't be mad about that. Yeah, just totally flubbed the speech I think that I had to give at this banquet. Totally flubbed it, I think, although everyone said that I did good, but I don't know. I really don't know.
Yeah.
I think I flubbed it, man. I don't know. You ever envision something? Let's just real quick. Do you ever envision something and then, like, when you get there, it's totally different? So the whole game plan of preparation, like, just totally throws you off?
Yeah.
Like, I envisioned the room to be so much different. Like, I guess the best way of saying it is I thought, people would be spread out more, like, on more of a landscape type of scenario. Well, the way the table was set up, it was like the Last Supper. And there was like a king's table, then like everybody in one line down a long, like, table. You know what I mean? Like just one giant corridor. It was like, what's that thing when you have tunnel vision? What's that called? Oh, tunnel vision? Okay. So it was like having tunnel vision. And you had to like just, and I was just, it instantly threw me off my game because I was ready to like, I would like look around and like look for certain like points that way. And then I had to look straight down this tunnel and like it just totally threw me off my game. But
I experienced that a lot when I was playing music in elementary and high school, especially like concert band or jazz band. And we played at an Italian restaurant downtown in Chicago my junior year for this company that was sponsoring the high school. They had this little banquet event at this Italian restaurant. And as a guitar player, you have to make sure, especially in jazz band, that you're not overly loud and stuff. Just like balancing your sound, your intonation, your sound for your amplifier, and all the other extra shit that comes with playing music. So, I'm getting all set up. I'm tuning guitar. I think everything's set. We played the first song. What came to surprise me was the chorus effect of my amplifier blared through the entire restaurant. Even when I was barely plucking the strings for the songs I was playing for our band. It's also different cases when you have band concerts. In graduation for the high school I went to, Ronald College Prep, we had our graduations at the Field Museum, which is across the street from Soldier Field. And we had this like big auditorium there where everybody comes in and they'll have concert band play music in between as they're bring out the commencement speeches and all the extra shit that comes with high school graduations and stuff. So I was playing percussion and the acoustics in that auditorium was off. I felt like I was off. I was playing there was one song called Celtic Ritual. I played a xylophone, piano, drum set, and wind chimes. So it's like a very deep song. Like it starts slow, it's like a ballad, and then it like intensifies towards the end of the song. So it's a very, very interesting song, by the way, if you guys like classical music. I hope I'm not boring you with the story, but especially playing music, you definitely could get thrown off as a performer depending on the environment you're at.
Well, plus I think a lot of times too, and this is, I'm going to wait till you see how much of a transition this is, and you're going to love this segue. I think sometimes you have to kind of either fail or flub, or at least in your mind think that you flubbed, so that way it just better prepares you for next time, right? Yes. I'm going to give you an example. So a couple weeks ago, we have just like a real small, tiny little fantasy football league just for like the family and stuff, and like we keep it like small. You know, you're in it. I beat my daughter a couple weeks ago. Like it was biblical. It was like I beat her by like 250 points or something. It was bad. It was the week that Goff and Mahomes went off on that Monday night game. I had both quarterbacks, so it was just ugly. And all season long, though, right? So my daughter is the epitome of a shit talker. So even though she's dropping every game she's losing, she's running her mouth all season long. Then I throttled her that day. She was so mad, dude, so angry and upset. It was like, and this was just, a couple weeks ago. From that point on, she was like, hey, I need to know how to pick up players. Maybe I think I need to change my team around. And then she started looking at like trends and we always say you gotta learn how to lose before you learn how to win. I kind of made the joke about it. This chick just beats me in the playoffs 2 straight weeks, like, because we have the 2-week playoffs. And it's not like she beat me 1 week. So, I mean, she crushed me the first week, but it's not like she beat me so bad the first week. I still won the second week and just couldn't make up the difference. She just smacked me around again and just beat me down. And the number one seed, just like that, is out of the playoffs. And my daughter is in the finals of a fantasy football league in her first year. A draft that she chose, she picked her own players. She goes on the free agent wire. It's such a beautiful thing.
No, it's pretty cool.
Love our ball, man. I never lost.
Oh my God. It's been a very humbling year for myself, fantasy football wise. The ladies in your life have been whooping my ass for about a month, and I don't have a problem with that. It's interesting where you set up your lineups, and it's the charm of football. It's the most unexpected sport out there. You don't know who's going to play good, who doesn't play well. I like fantasy football, but that story is pretty funny, my man.
Dude, I'm still alive in 3 of my 5 leagues, so I'll admit, if there was the league that I was going to get knocked out in, it couldn't have happened. You know, like everyone, like I love the fact that my daughter knocked me out of the playoffs. I don't even care. That's the greatest thing. I'll never ever forget this. Like her first year in an actual league, she just knocks me out. But I'm playing for a title, like an actual championship title in a different league. So that's neither here nor there.
It's putting a good bow on the tie and a good birthday weekend for her, like that. I don't
want to be a Mr. I told you so, but I kind of tried telling you guys that the Raiders were going to beat the Steelers. But all of that kidding aside, this is what I want to say about this. A couple years ago, the Raiders played in Pittsburgh. It was the same kind of game, high scoring shootout. Steelers won really in the last couple seconds. And it was in Pittsburgh. It was just, kind of meant to be that way. This one was in Oakland. If this is played in Pittsburgh, Pittsburgh probably wins. Just like a couple years ago, that game, if they're in Oakland, Oakland probably wins. Yeah. All of this aside, win, loss, whatever, because it could have went either way. There's a lot of really upset Steeler fans, but I look at it this way: if, and it's probably going to be, if this is the last time the Oakland Raiders and the Pittsburgh Steelers meet in Oakland, California, you couldn't have asked for a more storybook kind of game. You know what I mean? Like, and vice versa. Like the game here a couple years ago, where if that's Oakland's last, time where they'll be playing in Pittsburgh as the Oakland Raiders, you couldn't draw up a better game than how the Steelers came back to win the game in the final seconds too. So, I'm not gonna absolutely, with a 3 and whatever record that we have or however many wins we have, like I'm not gonna try and be like a blowhard or like and gloat about a game that really could have went either way. The one thing I do want to say though is, I think it's comical to hear Steeler fans complain about the turf that we have out there for 2 reasons. One, we play on it every goddamn week. So, yeah, I know it sucks. That's why we're moving to Vegas, because we're below sea level. So, and that's why we have injuries every year and can't get free agents. And I think why Derek Carr's leg snapped in like 6 pieces a couple years ago. Neither here nor there. But that's rich coming from a team that used to pride themselves on wetting down the field so that when they had Jerome Bettis, other teams couldn't really play here, and it helped their defense and helped their running game. So when we were voted like worst field in the league like 6 years running before Oakland decided they just weren't even going to they weren't even going to lock gates anymore. It's just like, hey, whoever wants to come in and play rec ball on the weekend, just come on in. But no, it was AJ had a great had an instant classic on her birthday. She wanted a Raider party. She got the Raider party she wanted. She got a Raider win. And apparently the NFL draft in 2020 is going to be in Vegas, and the Raiders might not have a home next year because they're being sued by the city of Oakland. So, hey, in Raiderland, everything is up in the air, but it was an absolute awesome weekend for my daughter. She's being spoiled rotten for her birthday, but she deserves it. So, and now Christmas is right around the corner. So, yeah.
I can't say anything because my team has the worst stadium in the entire NFL. Especially field conditions. The fact that Charter franchise doesn't even own their own stadium and we got a fucking UFO ship on the lakefront is embarrassing.
I kind of dig your stadium now. A lot of history there. I dig that.
I like the columns and stuff, especially looking at it on primetime games. It's cool looking at it at night, but during the day, like it will be this weekend. Oh man, it still has its dump qualities. Trust me.
Right? Yeah. That's any stadium.
Yeah. So before we get into the WWE end of the podcast this week, I wanted to catch everybody up what's going on with non-WWE related stuff, and we got Wrestle Kingdom 13 coming up in a couple weeks, and on the audio portion of the podcast, as we're taking this on YouTube right now. So, like I said earlier, please interact with us. Send us a question, comment, interact with us. So, in the audio version of the podcast this week, I'm adding a clip from Chris Jericho, who was responding to Naito ripping him on a live show. And Chris Jericho and Naito are going to have their second match at Wrestle Kingdom 13. So they got most of the card announced really. They announced it over the weekend. So I'm just going to run it over really quick for you guys. And I'll let Adam.
Please do, because I didn't get to hear this yet.
Yeah, so there's going to be a lot of good matches for Wrestle Kingdom. This is obviously their WrestleMania, so I wouldn't expect anything less. Kota Ibushi will be fighting Will Ospreay for the Never Openweight Championship. We got Suzuki Gun, Kanemaru Desperado against Roppongi 3K against some of the other members from LIJ. So that's going to be a triple threat match for the junior heavyweight tag team titles. Here's a match I'm looking forward to. Ishii versus Zack Sabre Jr. for the British Heavyweight Championship. That's the Rev Pro British Heavyweight Championship, by the way.
Nice. I think Roy Johnson once held the Rev Pro title, if I'm not mistaken.
I think he did. I think he did.
Big wavy.
Big wavy. Here's another interesting match here. We got the Gorillas of Destiny, my boys Tamatanga and Tangaloa against LIJ, Sonata, and Evil against the Young Bucks. That's going to be a triple threat match for the IWGP Heavyweight Tag Team titles. This could be the Young Bucks' last New Japan show. There's a lot of things up in the air as far as their future is concerned. We'll see what happens. It's going to be very interesting how the story of Bullet Club and the Elite and the Bullet Club Elite story.
I cannot wait to see how this plays out.
Yeah. Cody Rhodes will be fighting Juice Robinson in a rematch of last year's Wrestle Kingdom. Cody Rhodes against Juice Robinson, IWGP United States Heavyweight Championship match. Kushida versus Taiji Ishimori from TNA. They're fighting for the junior heavyweight title. That's going to be a very good match for you, like guys like me who like the in-ring technical parts of wrestling and speed. So that's going to be a lot of fun. We got Okada versus Jay White as a singles match. These two have been feuding. Yeah, these two have been feuding since Gato turned on Okada at the G1. So it's been one of the better rivalries for New Japan over the years. Jericho and Naito, like I said, part 2 for the IC title, and the main event is Kenny Omega against Hiroshi Tanahashi for the IWGP Heavyweight Championship. So, Wrestle Kingdom 13, January 4th. I don't know what day January 4th is next year, but I'm always excited.
I believe Monday.
Monday.
Is it a Monday, I think? I got my calendar open on my phone.
I hope not.
Ironic that I was having to look at a calendar because I'm never working and busy all the time that I have to even take stuff when I'm on a podcast. Sorry, guys. No, so it's on the 3rd. That's a Friday night.
Oh, it's a Friday night.
Wait, no, I'm sorry. I'm not even looking at this right. That's a Thursday. Let me flip this over. Yeah, it's a Thursday. The 3rd's a Thursday. The 4th's a Friday.
Oh, God. That sucks. I work during the morning and afternoon time on Friday, so yeah, it's gonna be a long day.
Yeah, it's gonna be an early morning for me.
One of the few New Japan pay-per-views that actually stay up and cover live, and it's gonna be a fun show. Wrestle Kingdoms rarely disappoint. There's a lot of matches on this show that I'm very excited for, especially Okada against Jay White. I'm kind of bummed out that Marty Scurll is not on this show this year.
I am too.
Or Hangman Page. But seeing matches like Cody Rhodes and Juice Robinson or Ishii and Zack Sabre Jr., I don't know why Minoru Suzuki's not on the show yet, but that's just my opinion. I have a partial bias towards Suzuki and his old ass.
Just because they're not announced, though, doesn't mean they can't make an appearance, right?
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Yeah.
So we got 10 matches for Wrestle Kingdom 13. Kevin Kelly and Don Callis do a great job on commentary as always, and it's going to put my typing fingers to the test. There's going to be a lot of matches that you consider the match of that pay-per-view or the year. There's a trend every time there's a Wrestle Kingdom that supposedly is the match of the year and nothing else compares to it. But I don't subscribe to that theory. I do enjoy Wrestle Kingdom shows as it is. So regardless, I'm looking forward to this pay-per-view, and there's a lot of good matches on this show.
Yeah, no, I'm excited for it. We actually already talked about ordering it, and you know, we didn't get last year's. We were going to, didn't for a certain reason. I don't even want to get into trivial reason, but this year I'm not buying it because of a certain reason. So, you know, I here's the one thing I do like about New Japan is that, you know, a lot of times you can just, and I always say this about NXT, you can dive right in. You know, you don't necessarily have to have seen the entire story, the entire, you know, and I do think that they're in a unique position where you can have a lot of people more so show up at a New Japan show, or, you know, just like any of the other organizations, that for a one-off at a Wrestle Kingdom, then you could, you know, like it All In, then you could at, say, a WWE event, just because of all the tape and the bells and the whistles and all the, you know, all the contracts and stuff like that. So,
right.
You can see pretty much anybody really still showing up at this. Like, I know Marty's not announced, neither is Hangman, but they could be there. You know what I mean? Like, you never really know who could or couldn't be there. I'm excited though, man. Like, I think it's going to be fun just to see. I know, it's still going to be like 8 hours long. I'm going to grow a full beard during it, and it usually takes me like forever.
Like the Castaway?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's going to be a fun show. Speaking of non-WWE related stuff, Ring of Honor's having their WrestleMania this weekend. Final battle, it's going to be tomorrow, actually. Hammerstein Ballroom, or the Hammerstein Ballroom, as it used to be called back in the day. So, Ring of Honor's got their big pay-per-view. Big matches on that show. They got Jay Lethal against Cody Rhodes. I think Marty Scurll is fighting Christopher Daniels. And then they're having a ladder wars. Young Bucks, Briscoes, and SoCal Uncensored. So Ring of Honor's got some good stuff on their show as well.
When's that?
Tomorrow night. Yes.
What?
Yeah.
Final on pay-per-view?
Yeah.
Oh, come on, man. I can't be. Guys are killing me. They're killing me. They just all need to sign so I can stop spending all this money. And all you people to complain about the network, this is why they need to sign, so that I can not keep buying pay-per-views.
Yeah. By the way, folks, please go check out season 2 of the Edge and Christian show. It's freaking hilarious. These two are out of their mind with the wit they have with each other. It makes sense with them having the brotherhood for over 30 years, but these guys are fucking hilarious. I love the Tommy Dreamer cameos, and they bring the elements from their podcast on the show, like Tommy. It's fun. I always loved Edge and Christian. I've always been a mark for them since I was a kid. I know Adam's a big fan of Edge. Yeah. And the Edge and Christian show on the network is hilarious.
Oh, it's real good. Actually, I need to get caught up. That's something my daughter actually wants to really get. She really wants to watch that. So I think that's something that we're going to binge watch one night.
Yes, sir. All right, brother. Let's get into it. So this weekend will be TLC. It's the final pay-per-view of the year for WWE. After this, we're heading towards the Royal Rumble. I'm still very interested to see how the show's going to be, and the fact that it's going to be in a baseball stadium. I'm very excited for that. You were at WrestleMania 19 at Seiko Field.
I must have a thing for baseball diamonds. My football team still has one. My first WrestleMania had one.
It's going to be pretty cool. I'm excited to see how that goes. And I don't know what's going to happen on that show, but that's a cool journey. And I think just for those who are listening to the podcast right now, I haven't decided when our final show of the year is going to be, but I promised on the last show we do, we're going to just go off the cuff and just talk about some things we'd like to see in 2019 as far as the product's concerned, and like matches and this and that. So we'll wrap things up in a nice bubble in a couple weeks. But this year's gone by really, really fast. Even if it catches me by surprise with the amount of shows I had to transcribe throughout the weeks. The pay-per-views have gone by fast. Me personally, I've liked the fact that they moved the pay-per-views an hour back. and they're not ending at midnight now, unless it's a Big Four show. So TLC is this Sunday. There's like 12 or 13 matches on the card, and we'll predict those matches towards the end of the show. But let's get into this week of programming. Anything from Raw or SmackDown that caught your eye?
Let me see. Did catch my eye this week. I think I still think the Triple Threat on Sunday's on, obviously, but I do think it's unique that they keep, or not unique. That's a really terrible adage to use right there, but I think it's somewhat not perplexing either. I don't know what I want to really use right here, but I just find it strange that Becky keeps bringing up that she's put herself back in the game. The man had to put herself back in the game. The man, So Josh, let me ask you this question. And I'm totally fantasy booking here, but just hear me out because I like to do this to get people thinking because, people want to think that they're thinking, but they're really feeling. And, we went over this last week. Anyway, wouldn't it be fun if it would be for me if at the last minute they told Becky she couldn't compete, she wasn't medically cleared?
Right.
That's what stood out to me because I've noticed first couple times it's like, okay, but then when you keep bringing it up, and that's one thing with WWE programming, a lot of times people get mad because, it's repetitive. They're trying to hit a bullet point home. And that for me is the what if. Like, what if for some reason they pull the carpet out from underneath us and Charlotte Asuka starts a feud that's going to last until WrestleMania, and in a way taking Becky out could do more for her in this match than having her in there and not take a pinfall. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just because then it could be like, they're not clearing her. Then she goes in, and I'm totally fantasy booking here, guys. But then you put her in the Rumble at either number 1 or number 2. Say maybe number 2. Why can't she be the Shawn Michaels? Why can't she be the Ric Flair? Why can't she go the distance? If she's going to get Rousey, she's the man. Let her be the man, right? Like, I think that would be an amazing story to tell. So what jumped out at me this week, Josh, was that's what I hope happens. I fantasy booked myself into like, oh my God, not that I don't want to see Becky compete Sunday, because I absolutely do. But I think there would be so much value to her character even to pull her from that match. It would build so much sympathy for the fans as much as they would boo. It would build that hunger, build that thirst, Right. And then you have her run the table at the Rumble, and so, I don't know, man. It just seems like it would be a really fun story to lead up to Ronda Rousey and whatever happens with Rousey either way. So,
no, I can totally see that. I'm going to take this a little different direction with a different injury. My takeaway from this week is that I miss Alexa Bliss, the wrestler, and seeing more on television. I like what she's done, contrary to what you may see on Twitter or fickle social media site.
What's wrong with what Alexa Bliss is doing? What's wrong? Why are people hating on Alexa Bliss this time?
I think some people are kind of. I notice this a lot. You usually hate the things that are representation of you, even if you don't realize it. Mm-hmm. And I think a lot of people don't like the Q&A segments because the questions you hear in those Q&As are the same questions you hear on every podcast. So,
they're kind of really just taking all the gripes that people and we've talked about this ad nauseum. They're just taking.
I didn't know Seth Rollins was going to be a podcaster this week. Go ahead.
I was going to say, I didn't know, he even came out with an old school, I know I said this last week, but they're really recycling a lot of CM Punk's old characters and putting him in new, For a business that claims they don't miss him, they're really recycling a lot of his gimmicks because Rollins against the Authority now is looking pretty weird. But, no, man, you know what? There's always been some sort of animosity towards Alexa Bliss, and I think it's because she wasn't one of the horsewomen, and she kind of was – I don't want to say she was the first to come from NXT to win the Women's Championship without winning the NXT Women's Championship, and for some reason the Bubble fan doesn't like that, and I've never understood that.
I don't know why people don't like Alexa Bliss. I felt like character-wise she was putting in the best work in the entire women's division before this – rise of Becky Lynch over the last few months. Multiple title reigns. I think she's underrated as a wrestler for what she does as a character.
Yeah.
It's not all how fast you could go through your sequences or how many flips you could do to respond to a spot or whatever. But I always been an Alexa Bliss fan. I have a bias. If you ask me right now, who would be like my top 3 female performers in WWE right now, it'd be Alexa Bliss, Becky Lynch, and Nikki Cross.
Yeah, I like Nikki Cross. I mean, Becky would be up there for me, but I don't even want to put her in a top 3 women's because she's the man. And you always have to separate the man from that's at least where I'm at. I mean, you don't put Brock Lesnar in a normal list of people because, so I wouldn't do that with Becky Lynch either. But man, I don't, right now I think with my top 3 would, Ruby's definitely on there. I'm a big Ember Moon fan right now. See, dude, it's hard for me though too because there's so many. Like, I'm such a big fan of the women's division right now as a whole. Like Nikki Cross is one I can't wait till she's definitely up on either SmackDown or I guess SmackDown, permanently. I mean, there is a lot. It goes back to I've been more intrigued with the women's division and their storylines than the men's division. Although it's been close lately though, the Dean Ambrose angle and the new Daniel Bryan has absolutely, I think, given some life to the men's division.
We're going to get into the new Daniel Bryan in a couple minutes.
I love the new Daniel Bryan.
I'm going to say this, though. That opening segment with Seth Rollins and Corbin illustrated every point that we made on the show last week about them addressing points that the bubble brings up, and they spent the first 15, 20 minutes of the show talking about it. And it's kind of interesting because the next day, Jimmy Jacobs was talking about the struggles of writing a 3-hour wrestling show, and the Bubble's going after him on Twitter, and Seth Rollins the night before, the night after, ripping Corbin for storyline wise. And I'm not taking this seriously. I mean, yes, we're wrestling marks, but I'm not going to be like, oh, this is semantics. You're saying this on Raw, and you're saying this the next. I think it was more Seth Rollins, the person, speaking out as a performer and having to deal with these idiotic
Colby Lopez speaking for Colby Lopez for a change.
Right. Exactly.
Well, so, wait, hold on a second. Hold on. Wait. I might have to stop you right here because I didn't see any of this, and I have a hell of a lot of respect for Jimmy Jacobs. So I'm gonna stop you real quick. I'm gonna let you finish. But what happened with Jimmy? Like, people were like going after him because he said because. Do any of you seriously at home think that it's easy to write a 3-hour wrestling show, a 2-hour wrestling show? I would dare any of you idiots that play 2K19 like my 9-year-old daughter and build your own universe and think that your universe is better than my daughter's 9-year-old universe. First of all, you're wrong because her characters are awesome. Second of all, just because you think you can fantasy book on a video game does not mean anything. It's unbelievable, Josh. Like when people start with this, and they go after men and women that have been in the locker room, that have been in the writing room, that have been in the company. And I don't understand why, I don't understand why there has to be this holier than thou. Like, in one conversation with Jimmy Jacobs, felt like I learned more than I ever did off of the internet. Or off of, I'm not talking about reading. There's so many books out there I would also implore you to read. But you're not going to learn anything about the business on a Twitter fucking chat room or a Twitter fucking feed or anything like that. Legit, like a 10-minute convo with Jimmy, and I realized I was looking at wrestling so wrong. And he made me a better fan of the industry, So all of that being said, it's crazy people going, I don't know. I don't know. It ties back into, go ahead, Josh, go ahead.
Yeah, I want to add context to this so we give credit where credit's due here. So this is 3 tweets from Jimmy Jacobs' Twitter account. So I'm not making this up as a dirt sheet writer would or Brian Alvarez would just to fit my narrative.
Right.
So here we go. Everybody is allowed to their opinion. I take zero offense to it, but one of the first things I learned writing is that it's easy to point out the problems. The job is to come up with solutions.
Absolutely.
The second one, this is the most common response I've gotten. While as a fan, I agree the bottom line says differently. WWE gets paid way more to have 3 hours Raw than for 2, so that seems to be off the table. So he was responding to a fan that said that maybe Raw shouldn't be 3 hours long. And then the last one here says, I know very little, and what I do know is bounded on all sides by infinite ignorance. I can only speak to my experiences. In those experiences, I found writing a wrestling TV show isn't an easy task. Thanks to all that engaged in meaningful dialogue with me. I love the passion.
No, and here's the one thing I'll say about Jimmy too is that Jimmy Jacobs is like a hell of a guy just to have a conversation with, and that's what I mean. I could see him saying that in a very calm manner, not raising his voice, not attack in a way that if you were sitting there next to him, you would realize he wasn't attacking you or talking at you or talking down towards you. Yeah. He was just and I hate to say educating you, but in a way educating you. Because as fans, we do sometimes, I think, need to be educated a little bit. The conversation I had from him, listen, I'll tear down a fourth wall. I had a quick conversation with him one night. We were all bullshitting, kind of, I'm not going to get too deep into the story, but I just brought up something about Cena and just, like a normal mark, whatever. Thought I'd get ribbed. And that's, Josh, I brought this up before. And this was years ago, 4 or 5 years ago, something like that. And it's just, and I just said something about Cena, ruining the business. And he said, if you really think that John Cena is bad for the business, he was like, then you really don't know as much as you think about this business. And I was like, wow. And you start to think about stuff. And I take when people are in the business, I take what they say and that's when you think about it. Not what they do on TV, like what you can learn from them in a book, in a written book, in an interview, and he was right. He was right. I was, as I got older, I was still holding on to that, that youth of wanting to be a mark. And listen, I still can be a mark, and we all still want to be marks. But it's that respect level, Josh, I feel like is where people start to attack because people want to make people out to be easy scapegoats. When I spoke to Jimmy, that's actually one of the things that we spoke about. I hope that I'm not, that he would have loved to write for WWE. And it's not, and he knew it wasn't going to be, an easy kind of deal, but it is. It's a very hard thing. Just because people can do a 2-hour podcast doesn't mean that you could write a 3-hour wrestling show.
Right.
None of this means anything. You know what I mean? None of this is, we're not gaining sponsors. McDonald's isn't advertising on our show. Think about that. We're not trading at $75 a share, and trying to please and placate to so many different audiences and variety skits. And it can't be easy. It can't be.
Well, and the thing for me, and I've always said this on the show, is that I can tell when somebody's trying to be that person to be against the grain and question every little thing that's on a show.
The contrarian.
Yeah, exactly. And just like in football, there's a lot of window dressing that you see on Raw and SmackDown. You may think you know where an angle's going, but you can see on Sunday there'll be a different twist to the story.
And that's what the beautiful part about wrestling is supposed to be, right? Or sports entertainment, and that's the fun part about it. Is as much as we want to say sports, wrestling first. Yeah. What all of us in the wrestling bubble mark out for first and foremost is always the entertainment side.
Yeah, I'm going to say this really quick, and I think you agree with me. I don't think either of us are saying that Raw is hitting home runs every single month or the week or anything like that. But at the same time, I think my issue is we're losing context of what this show actually is and what we're watching, and I think that's unfortunate because you can't decide what a pay-per-view is going to be on a 1-week edition of Raw or SmackDown. Now we got both of these shows combined with each other. It's a 2-night story. TLC, the bill for TLC is not dictated on what happens on Raw or SmackDown. So you could be a fan of Raw, you could be a fan of SmackDown. It goes back to the subjective topic we brought up a lot of times. And I think us as fans, we lose a lot of context to what's happening on these shows as it builds to pay-per-views. Nobody's telling you that every show is awesome, that's hitting out the park, every angle, every feud is on point or anything like that. Nobody's telling you that.
Nothing we watch is.
Yeah, but I think a lot of people like Jimmy Jacobs or Xavier Woods or other people in the business who live exactly. They're taken aback by it because you don't know what they go through behind the scenes. You don't step in their shoes. You don't know how an actual show gets clearance to even sign off in the first place. You could write 4 editions of Raw, and you could have people from the USA Network deny each and every single one of them. It doesn't matter if you're Vince McMahon or Kevin Dunn. Yeah, all the major business decisions behind WWE ends with Vince McMahon, but you cannot dictate what networks tell you to put on your show.
Listen, you can start writing Raw as soon as Raw goes off the air. You can start writing next week's Raw. And understand that you're going to make edits and changes and omissions and additions every single day, every single hour of every single day, all the way until that 8 o'clock bell time when it goes live on USA Network. And then expect some more omissions and edits as the show goes on. It doesn't stop. Because they never, because it's this living, breathing organism, especially now with social media being the lever that truly pushes entertainment where it needs to go. Let's just call it like it is, brother. And this was going to be my I'm gonna let you finish moment today. I need people. What we need, and it's always a gripe, but we need to stop like giving a shit what people say 10 years ago and making it a big deal today. Because this whole thing with Kevin Hart is listen. And this is where I'm at. I don't necessarily agree with what he said. He's also a comedian, and comedians are there to tell us where the line is, so we know not to cross it anymore. You know, that's why I say a lot of stuff on here that I know that crosses lines, and I know to scale back. It's how we learn as a society.
Right.
But I just want to throw this out there to everybody and I understand that if you never realized that Kevin Hart, because Nick and I were talking actually about it, and Kevin Hart did apologize for it before a couple times, and it's got to be exhausting to keep apologizing for the same thing over and over and over and over and over again, right? Like, I mean, just over. Like, eventually it would have to be just like, come on, man, and like, who cares? Listen, my daughter is a huge Kevin Hart, like an enormous Kevin Hart fan. So kind of had a conversation with her about it, just like let her know. You guys all know that, that those of you that the nice little crew that we have that listens to the show, we're all like a little family. So you guys are kind of in on my daughter and everything what's going on with that. And what my daughter said to me was like, I don't think that he hates the LGBT community, but even if he did, I still think he's funny, and I still think he's, I still like his stand-up, so it doesn't bother me. Basically, that us as adults need to just relax because we take things too serious.
Yeah.
Now, this is coming from a 9-year-old that does identify as LGBT, who at that age you would think would be very, very hurt by what was said, and shrugged it off and like kind of laughed about it and was like, well, who cares? He's a comedian. So that's what we need to start doing as adults. Like, I don't understand. And again, because I had snowflake talk last week, right? How everybody's in their feelings. And here we are again. Josh called it. I said, here we go. Next week. We'll be talking about something. And we need to stop holding people accountable. Like, I'm not saying that you really want to get down to it, we all have something on social media somewhere that could get used against us and twisted or turned to try and totally demoralize us. All of us, every single one of you listening to this, I think we have a better listener base. I'll never say fan because fans are fickle. They're fickle. And that's why I've never used the term fan. We have a great audience of like-minded people that just, it's kind of like a family environment. So you guys, it's not like I'm even kind of like talking to you guys about this, but I think that's where we're at, brother. That's where we're at because, this kind of ties into, it's the overly political correctness, which I don't even want to say that it's overly PC. It's just because it's everybody now. It's on all sides of the fucking, like, it's everybody's just constantly whining and constant, and it's getting to the point where artists and comedians and musicians can't even challenge people to think anymore because people don't want to think, they want to feel.
Let's talk about the new Daniel Bryan.
Please, because he's amazing.
He's amazing. I just have a couple things like presentation-wise, nothing with like his character himself. It's more of it's like the music and it's kind of a challenge that I had while transcribing his match with Mustafa Ali this past Tuesday. Like, even like Corey Graves and Byron Saxton were talking about this. Do we call this the yes lock or Yes Kids.
Yeah, I like that. I like that.
I had the idea of the Fickle Lock.
Yeah, if he wants to keep going with that. I would like him to just completely rename it into something like just something tied in with like either climate change or just, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know. Just rename it so that it's something just like, so people are like, oh my God, they would do that, cause that adds on to the carniness of it, which is what we're watching. And that's what makes it fun. I love the fact that he's turning into somebody that absolutely is tailgating at a Fish concert.
Yeah. Like, he's like the hipster that comes into a restaurant you're eating at that just gives you a dirty look for no reason. That, like, they walk past you and like, can I help you? and the inside, that person's like, ignorant. You're hurting the environment or this or that. Like, I'm surprised he has to talk about dairy products or the slaughtering of animals yet. I'm sure that's going to happen on the show soon. So
he's getting there. It's funny because it's like the Miz looks like he's not really hungry. He just needs to have reservations somewhere. There's some people that'll get that joke. But on the flip side, Daniel Bryan just looks like he just is just real angrily needs to go chop wood. And I like it. With a really jam folky type of band playing in the background and at least two goats just chewing grass. So I'm hoping I'm painting here for you people.
I got a question for you.
Yeah, Josh.
What song would you have for the new Daniel Bryan?
Oh man, they could probably reach out and have a theme made at this point, right? With his popularity, I'm sure they could get somebody to, man, I don't know. Because I would want it to be a little bit more. I actually wouldn't mind him using something from the old Seattle grunge days, just because who cares if it's a throwback? You know what I mean? Hell, Punk came out with Cult of Personality. That song's almost 30 years old.
Yeah. I want him to come out to Come As You Are.
Well, he's from Aberdeen, so it would make perfect sense.
Either that or Something in the Way. And he's like walking slowly to the ring, and he's got like a mean mug in his eyes, something like that.
The sign on Aberdeen.
Or heart-shaped box if you want to add more intensity to it. I don't know.
Well, there was, I think on the Aberdeen sign it says, "Welcome to Aberdeen, come as you are." And I mean, that's where Kurt Cobain's from, if anybody didn't know that, and Daniel Bryan is from, so it's, the Nirvana, linkage would make a hell of a lot of sense. I'm just trying to think of what song would be.
Would he do Elderly Woman Behind the Counter from Pearl Jam?
No. It does look like he knits sweaters to that. I'll admit. He, with a nice hot cup of tea next to him.
Yeah, Big Lebowski, yep.
I can't talk. That's what I look like, except I'm wearing a blazer instead of a sweater. I'm either wearing a blazer or a hoodie instead of a sweater, so I can't talk. I just refuse to wear a sweater because I just don't. I won't go there. But I did finally find my Brody Bruce jacket, and
nice.
Might be buying that.
Oh God. Like I said last week, this dude better not say anything about the Eagles, or they'll be fighting words. I know that's my favorite band, and I'm out there in the bubble by myself on that topic. But I'll laugh at it at first, but it'll be fighting words after the fact. Because I remember seeing, and he's like pissed off, he's having a horrible day. He's in the back of the taxi. The taxi driver got Desperado on. It's like, I had a rough day, and I hate the fucking Eagles.
Nice.
Oh man. Let's talk about his challenger, and we're gonna get to this topic that I talked about at the beginning of the show. So Mustafa Ali from 205 Live got his chance to debut on SmackDown and have a 15-20 minute match with Daniel Bryan. First off, what did you think about how that whole beginning of SmackDown started? And for you personally, what other matches that you would like to see featuring 205 Live guys from their roster?
I thought it was not an open. It didn't have an open challenge feel to it, but I feel like it very much had when Becky Lynch and Nikki Cross were in the ring together, that kind of moment, Right. And then not that, listen, we saw that with Cena and Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens and, and the same kind of deal. But just most recently, that's the easiest way to, I guess, because we're all into comparisons. But I liked it. Listen, man, I like that they pulled that off because that's hopefully going to get some more eyes on 205 Live. I kind of wish they would have maybe given him a little more time. Maybe. I mean, I fast forward through most of the match, so maybe who knows? I just actually, you know what? I didn't fast forward through a lot of this match. I thought maybe they could have let them go a little bit more. As far as other guys from 205 Live that I'd like to see come up, to be honest, if I was to answer this question, I feel like I wouldn't be answering it fairly and or properly because I haven't been watching 205 Live. So I think in a way to come up with like dream matches, it would I would feel like that mark that we talk about that are on other podcasts or on the internet or on the, whatever, I don't think I'd be doing anybody justice, and I don't want to unfairly overlook anybody. Listen, Seth Alexander's amazing. Mustafa Ali to me is absolutely incredible. There's a lot of guys on there, but I wouldn't be able to match them up. You know what I mean? And I don't want to do. I'm so big on like not doing good for the business, not doing bad for the business. I'm not going to sit here and just pull shit out of my ass and then just be like, oh, well, it sounded good. I'm not.
Right. I think obviously for those who know, checking out the 205 Live stuff that I do, I can add on to this. I have the reason I said a pay-per-view because I already had like 8 matches in my head that would work for like Raw or SmackDown guys against 205 Live wrestlers. I had one, for example, I would have Buddy Murphy against AJ Styles. That's one that came off the top of my head. Something like Cedric Alexander against Seth Rollins would be a match I would like to see. The Lucha House Party against the Usos. I think that'd be a very good match.
I want the Lucha House Party. I feel like the Lucha House Party is like a tongue-in-cheek jab at me for making fun of all them dudes, but like on Supercard and like constantly like making fun of their names. It's like over like a weird time. But all that stuff, I'll admit, if there's one thing I wish that would just go away, and maybe this is me being fickle, but the Lucha House Party thing bothers me. It bothers me, brother. I'm just saying they're a lawnmower away from being the Mexicools with no rules. It makes it seem. I don't know. It makes the Mexican jumping being stereotype real fucked up. I don't know. I just don't feel comfortable about. There are certain things I don't feel comfortable about with it. Plus, I just think it's stupid.
It's cool. It doesn't bother me. I like
when it comes on. I start getting mad.
I get more enjoyment out of the Lucha House Party for the matches they put on 205 Live each week.
That I can see. Right.
For me. I do kind of get a kick in the fact they have In Your House logos on their Titantron screen.
Yeah, it's so bad.
Anyways, this match-wise, I'd like to see the Lucha House Party against the Usos. I think it would be a good match. People don't have to watch it if they don't watch it. This is my fucking list.
Yeah, right. No, it's your list, yeah.
Drew Gulak against Samoa Joe would be a match I like to see. Both guys are big with their submissions and stuff. I know they're both heels, so maybe the character balance would not be there, but I think that would be a good match.
I think Gulak and Daniel Bryan would have a hell of a match.
Yeah, that'd be a good match. Mm-hmm. I like to see Mustafa Ali against Finn Balor.
Mm-hmm. I'd like that. Yeah, I can see that.
I know a lot of people have been saying Mustafa Ali against Seth Rollins. I think that would have been easy, but I thought Finn Balor would be an interesting just different matching styles. I like to see Mike Bennett against Bobby Roode.
That's a good one, man. That is a perfect one right there. I'm glad Mike went down to 205, or Mike Bennett. I'm sorry. I don't want to make it sound like I know the dude, but
Mike
I catch myself doing that sometimes. It's like, wait,
yeah.
No, I'm a Mike Bennett fan. I'm glad that he went down to 205 Live and he's making an impact down there. I do like the Bobby Roode matchup. Nice call.
Yes, sir. Well, so let's see what else I can come up with. Wait for it. I've been thinking about this match for a while, actually. I like to see Lio Rush against Rey Mysterio.
I don't mind Lio Rush. Like I said, like I obviously we were ribbing him for, because it was just fun to rib him for a little while. But no, dude, on 205, like what he does on 205 Live, his in match and stuff like that, like Lio does, he gets the job done, man.
Yes.
I think he's exciting that way. I'll admit I'm just over Rey Mysterio. I think I'll admit I kind of am.
All right, how about this one, folks? Hideo Itami against Cesaro.
Yeah. How about, and not because of the tie-in, but how about Hideo Itami versus Nakamura?
No, that's not bad. I don't know if they fought each other or not. I gotta look into. I don't know if they had a match with each other yet. I could look and see if they fought each other in the past.
I don't think they ever did either.
Yeah. Jack Gallagher against Elias would be a match I like to see. If Gallagher was a good guy again, this guy's been a heel for almost a year and a half now. It'd just be something interesting with Elias being the guitar player and Gallagher doing the British comedy stuff like Sherlock Holmes. I think it would be I think it would be a pretty good feud.
See it? Okay. The way the characters play off each other.
Yes.
I'm just getting. I just am starting to get concerned about weight differences. That's all. That's because that does have to. Not saying that the light heavyweights or the cruiserweights or the 205 Live guys. That's no disrespect. That's not what I'm saying. Mm-hmm. But usually, even in WCW's days where the cruiserweights were kings, really, only a couple broke through to that upper echelon or that where they were hanging with like the big dogs and that kind of stuff. So we're talking like your Mysterio, your Jericho, Malenko to an extent, Chris Benoit, So I'm not, and that's no disrespect. Listen, it's and I'm not saying us in the wrestling bubble couldn't buy into a match like that. We got to just think about Joe Schmo that still thinks that. I'm not going to get into other conspiracy theories, but you get what I mean. Like Joe Schmo in random whatever Nebraska that watches wrestling. You know what I mean?
Bumblefuck Nebraska.
Yeah, they're not going to buy into it as much as we would as wrestling fans.
Yeah, so that's pretty much my list of matches of 205 Live guys going against guys from Raw or SmackDown. I think it'd be some interesting matchups. You can have Mustafa Ali fight anybody and people will be interested. And you can add Buddy Murphy to that list as well. So I'm happy for the 205 Live guys. I'm hoping one of these days, for the hard work they put in, they have their own like takeover special. If they do like a taping day or weekend they do down in Full Sail, you can do it down there. You don't have to like sell out a basketball arena or anything like that. Something like 2 hours or something like that. These guys bust their ass. I know that these guys are getting title spotlights on the pay-per-views now, and unfortunately some people use the cruiserweight title matches on the pay-per-views as piss breaks, which is unfortunate because these guys are putting on good matches. I mean, look at the match that Buddy Murphy put on with Mustafa Ali at Survivor Series, or the one that Murphy had with Alexander at the Australia show. So I'm happy for these guys. They're putting out good content. They're putting out good wrestling matches. We'll see who from NXT will pop up on 205 Live, or guys from the Indies that'll come in, like a Shane Strickland. I heard his signed to WWE, so a guy like that'd be a nice addition to that roster. So it's gonna be very interesting to see where they go with the 205 Live guys. So before we get to TLC, let's do This Time Next Week. You up for it, brother?
Yeah, I don't really have much for This Time Next Week. I'll admit, I didn't come prepared for that.
I just had a couple I wanted to rattle off.
Rattle them off, then I got something.
Yeah, they're more football related than anything. So,
oh god.
So this time next,
where you're trying to get your Chicago Bears shit in. Okay, I see what you're doing here.
No, actually, I'm not going to talk about the Bears today.
Ooh, okay.
No. This time next week, Jerry Jones will have to explain why the Cowboys lost to the Colts. I have another one after that. This time next week, Richard Sherman's going to say something about Russell Wilson, and people are going to see like, oh, Russell Wilson's a phony. So the Seahawks are playing the 49ers this weekend, and the last time they played each other, Sherman was talking about how him and Wilson didn't really have a relationship. So, the NFL, they got to add more drama than there actually is. So I'm sure that'll pop up on the on the end. I'm sure you didn't see this morning, brother, but Stephen A. Smith made a fool out of himself on First Take and mispronounced players who weren't even playing in tonight's Chiefs-Chargers game. So they're having Teddy Bruschi on the show, and they're previewing the game, and he's like, I want to see Hunter Henry and I think he said Derek Johnson in the game for the Chiefs, and both of those guys are out they're on IR right now. and you should have seen the look on Teddy Bruschi's face. It's pretty funny. It's been spread all throughout Twitter today, but to have a flub like that on there, man, come on, we're in week 15, and you don't know already that Hunter Henry tore his ACL in the preseason.
Dude, I didn't know. I didn't even know that Brandon Marshall was playing for the Saints. Did you know that?
Yeah, and he got released the other day too.
Yeah, I didn't know that. I had no idea that even happened. So yeah,
I don't know why they signed him.
Because they signed Des Bryant and he tore his Achilles.
Yeah, yikes. Yeah. This time next week, you know what? This time next week, Bryce Harper will be with the Chicago White Sox.
Yeah, I saw something about that today. I saw that was a headline.
Yes.
You know what? Realistically, this time next week, we're all going to be getting we'll be 5 days away from Christmas, and I think the holidays will be kicking in full force. So this time next week, I'm going to probably be a stressed out lunatic. That's all I know. And this time next week, you know what? Here's where I'm going to transition over. Do you got another one for this time next week?
No, I'm good.
Here, you know what? This time next week, maybe people will start to be a little smarter about stuff. So. Article popped up on my thing today, and sometimes they'll get me with a good headline. And of course, Gizmodo, you got me with a great headline this time. So it's basically a list of the 25 most popular passwords of 2018. And it said, will make you feel like a security genius. So, I know a lot of people don't take security seriously and that kind of stuff, but I'm going to read you a list, and I'm starting with number 1 and reading down or I'll start from 25 and read up to 21. I'll make it real quick. But these were the top 25 passwords used online. Keep that in mind, guys, because nobody ever tries, QWERTY123, that's the top row, and 123, guys, if you're, password 1. Donald, as if that idiot isn't getting enough press. People are using him as a password. AA123456, Charlie, just all the numbers, but used as the characters that are on top of the numbers as symbols. 654321, Monkey, which was down 5 spots from last year. I'd love to know why people are using Monkey. I don't know if I want to get really that into it though, because I have a feeling it might be some white supremacist shit.
Right.
123123 is on there. Just Football is on there. ABC 123 666 666. Welcome, Admin, Princess, I Love You, QWERTY, Sunshine, 1 2 3 4 5 6 7, 6 straight ones, 1 2 3 4 5, 1 through 8 in order, 1 through 9 in order. That went up 3 from last year. So people must be that extra 9 is really going to make a difference in security. Password, and the most popular one was 1 2 3 4 5 6. You people are lazy. Lazy. I don't want to hear that, we have a cybersecurity problem. We have lazy people with lazy passwords. Lazy. And lazy.
All the above, brother. All the above.
No, I just thought that was interesting. I came across that and I was like, it was comical in a way to me that people are still using any of these. It was uncomfortable with some of them though.
Yeah. Yeah. By the way, I'm not gonna say anything about the Bears this week on this show. The fact they're 9-4 is freaking insane. Just gonna leave it at that. I'm just gonna watch some football and just let the season go by. I'm not even thinking about it.
My main the fantasy league I'm really concerned about this year. I'm who I'm playing. My boy, he has. I think he's starting your boy Mitch. So I need your boy Mitch to have a down game this week. So. Because I need to be in that finals. I'm playing for that 10 pounds of 10 is what I'm calling their title. My boy that I'm playing, he calls it a belt. I call it a championship. That's how I know I'm going to beat him this week, because he doesn't understand that it's not a belt. A belt holds up your pants. We are playing for a championship title.
Right. All right, let's get into TLC as we're wrapping up the show this week. We got some stuff we got to get into here for this pay-per-view. 12 matches on the show this Sunday from San Jose. I talked about this last week. The SAP Center has the best air conditioning out of any wrestling show or arena I've been to. That place is awesome. Even though the area is kind of shady, to be honest with you, but we're gonna leave it to that. All right, so they haven't announced what match is going to be on the kickoff show, so any of these matches could pop on there. Just don't be surprised. There's a lot of matches on this show, so you don't be surprised if a match you may want to see on the main show will pop up on the kickoff show, okay? So I just want to get that out of the way. They usually announce that type of stuff on a Friday, so just be on the lookout for that. Let's start off with this. So we had a couple upsets in the Mixed Match Challenge for anybody who hasn't been watching the shows. So we're at the finals. This Sunday will be the finals of the Mixed Match Challenge Season 2. We got the Fabulous Truth against Team Mahalisha. So that's right. You got R-Truth and Carmella against Jinder Mahal and Alicia Fox. Go ahead, brother.
I'm going with Carmella and Truth, and I want Truth to forget that he's even supposed to come out at number 30, and number 30 is someone totally different. Yeah,
right.
Let's go Carmella and R-Truth.
I could see Truth doing that, man. I was thinking about this the other day when I was watching the show. Like, Truth's been singing, he's been rapping that same song for 10 years, and people are still bobbing their head and this and that. That brother's living a good life, man. I'm happy for him.
That song, too. He's probably like, can't I play something else?
Yeah.
Like Maynard not wanting to play sober.
Right. I'm happy for my boy Jinder Mahal gets some pay-per-view time. I don't know why people rip on Jinder, man. He's a good heel for these days. Maharaja Shanti, douchebags. All right, next one. Finn Balor against Drew McIntyre.
Probably McIntyre on this one. I don't know what role Ziggler's going to play in this, but I think they maybe just keep the momentum going with McIntyre, but I don't really think there's a loser coming out of this match, realistically. Just fan fickleness of saying that somebody lost. But, I think this is a match that's going to showcase both of them.
I'm going to go with Balor, and I think the Demon will show up on Sunday.
Oh, yeah. Okay, good call. Good call. If we get the Demon in, yeah, it's absolute. Listen, the Demon's rated like 4 points higher on 2K19, so of course he wins.
Right.
That's an actual thing, people. This is ridiculous. That's like, how can anybody get really that bent about this stuff?
You remember that Undertaker mode that they had a couple years ago where you had to
Daniel Bryan this year.
You had like the streak of who you had to have like multiple wrestlers come out and try to beat. No, you're the Undertaker. Right, you had to beat a certain amount of wrestlers or something like that. It's crazy. Or you had to end the streak, and he was like impossible to beat. All right, next one. Elias against Bobby Lashley. This is going to be a ladder match. So it's kind of similar to the match that Triple H and Kevin Nash had a few years ago. So a guitar will be suspended above the ring, and you can use it as a weapon where it grabs it first, obviously. So, yeah, so the match will end via pinfall or submission. So anybody that gets confused by it, it's similar to the Triple H and Kevin Nash match that happened in 2011. I'll go with Elias here. Bobby Lashley and Leo Rush have had beaten them up over the last couple weeks, so I'm going to go with Elias.
I'm actually going to go with Lashley just on principle that they're trying to put more heat on him, and I think Elias is over enough that he doesn't need. I don't know. I guess I'm going Lashley. Yeah.
All right. Tables match: Natalya and Ruby Riott. So speaking of matches that could be either on the show or a kickoff show, here we go. Natalya, Ruby Riott. This could be a tables match.
Ruby Riott, I am going with.
I'll go with Ruby Riott as well. Randy Orton against Rey Mysterio in the chairs match.
I think I saw this at WrestleMania 22, except somebody else was in the match too. No,
yeah.
You know what, man? I'll admit this is the one match that I am so disinterested in. I don't even want to give a prediction for it. Why? Because I'm fickle. Rey Mysterio.
I'm going with Rey Mysterio as well. Buddy Murphy against Cedric Alexander for the Cruiserweight title. I'll go with Buddy Murphy.
He's still holding the title, right?
Yes.
Yeah, so yeah, he retains then.
Here's the match I'm looking forward to the most. The Bar, the Usos, and New Day triple threat tag team match for the SmackDown tag team titles.
Yeah, it's going to be a good one. Man, it really makes you wonder about what's going to happen after the first of the year and the January 5th and all that.
By the way, what did you think about Ice Jamie?
That was interesting. I like the tongue-in-cheek jokes that they were poking about how they can't address certain things about the last rap battle and how it kind of got erased from history. And I thought all of that was a nice little tie-in. Man, you know what? I don't want to be that guy that's looking too much into certain things that maybe that's on being the elite and stuff like that. But if there was a possibility that there was a short-term contract for the Bucks to go to SmackDown, I think you put the titles on the New Day, right? Because I don't know if, even though I think Usos versus the Young Bucks that to me is the match. So is New Day versus the Bucks. You know what I mean? So it's like you could either go 1A, 1B with that one. I ultimately think that we might have some sort of like fatal 4-way at WrestleMania or whatever. And I'm not saying the Bucks are definitely a factor or not, but I'll admit I thought about this a lot, just trying to fantasy book myself in the corner or whatever. And I really don't know at this point with this one. I think either the Usos or New Day end up with the titles though.
Usually in the TLC pay-per-view, we have one of these matches that's like so freaking awesome, and you forget that all the other great match of the year candidates are always overseeing that last pay-per-view match. I remember it was like the Usos, Lucha Dragons, and New Day, that ladder match they had a couple years ago, which was freaking awesome. It was one of the best matches of the year, and it kind of got overlooked in a way because some of the other matches that happened like 11 months beforehand. I can see it the same way being this one. I'm going with the Usos in this match.
Wait, it's real quick, not to interrupt, but it's like the Lucha Dragons were like an old like they were like a street gang from the 90s that just got old and mature with age, and now they're just a Lucha house party because they don't want to like go out on the streets anymore, so they just sit at home with like their walkers and like got a little gray in their beard, and it's like, yo, youngin', back in my day. Like that's how I see like Lucha house party versus the Lucha Dragons. It's like the tamed down gang. I'm sorry.
By the way, folks, for those wondering, the Lucha house party will not be on TLC this weekend, so there goes that.
Good.
All right, Daniel Bryan versus AJ Styles.
Daniel Bryan. The new Daniel Bryan.
The new Daniel Bryan, that's right. Mm-hmm. I'm going with him as well. Braun Strowman versus Raw General Manager-elect Baron Corbin. This is going to be a TLC match. If Strowman wins, he'll fight Brock Lesnar at the Royal Rumble. If Baron Corbin wins, he'll become the full-time General Manager of Raw. I'm going with Braun Strowman. This match is not going to be long. There's going to be shenanigans. All hell's going to break loose. I think Kurt Angle is going to be involved in this match. I thought Heath Slater, by the way, did a really good job in his role.
Oh, yeah, that was cool.
What he did on Monday, I thought he did a very good job with that. But I'm going with Braun Strowman.
Yeah, I think Strowman, I mean, this is just a play to get Strowman in and then build him some momentum till the Rumble. But yeah, no, I agree, man. I like that. That's why I like what they're doing with Corbin's character right now. And I know a lot of they're using his character as a scapegoat, which they should. And they're using, and they kind of keep using him as overusing his power and stuff like that. But it was fun kind of seeing Heath Slater's versatility. I hate to say that because, I mean, if anything else, he's got a future. Future wrestling.
He's got kids.
He's got kids, like 20 of them. I know how West Virginia families are.
Oh, man. Ronda Rousey against Nia Jax. By the way, man, some people are really, really salty about Nia Jax. Like, I know they're playing to cancer. I know I'm as big as a Becky Lynch mark as anybody is out there, but do we have to make it personal with Nia Jax, folks? Do we really need to send cheap shots? I don't know.
You know what upsets me about it, brother, is that it's for no rhyme or reason. As soon as somebody like it's supposed to, if they didn't go as hard as they did, people would come. Like I keep saying, it would be the Divas division. They would go back to being Divas wrestling. If you want them to go as hard as the men's division, you're going to have accidents. You're going to have injuries. Nobody wanted to see Becky miss that match, miss time, miss whatever. but shit happens. Life happens. We want it to be separate but equal. Key being equal. So you're going to have injuries. And Nia's, this isn't a slight. I mean, people use this against her, but Nia is a little bit bigger. That's why they use the term the irresistible force. That's not a bad thing. We didn't criticize Andre the Giant for being bigger, right? It was actually something that was one of his strengths. And people are using one of Nia Jax's strengths as a weakness that shouldn't be a weakness. So, I don't like, and to me, brother, it always seems like they instantly go after, especially the female performers, especially because it makes them feel like they could say, well, they don't know how to work, or they don't know how to do this, or they don't know how to do that. Because when it happened with Brie Bella and Liv Morgan, you know what I mean? Just another recent one that I keep talking about. You want these women to go. They're going to go, but just like anything else, you're going to have injuries. So just deal with it, and don't get mad that she's working you guys over on social media. Oh well, you're supposed to be smarter than the game by now.
Correct.
But they're making you feel so.
In my feelings, man. Yeah, I don't know what goal you're trying to accomplish when you try to make these personal with wrestlers. Some people need to, like The Rock says, know the role and shut their mouths.
Yeah.
As far as this match is concerned, I think Ronda Rousey will retain. I think I did. I think you were still out checking out your dad when this match was going on. They fought at Money in the Bank, right?
Yeah, I caught this whole match. Okay. I didn't get to catch this match. This was one of the.
I think Nia's going to put some good stuff in this match. I think Tamina obviously will play a factor into it, and we'll see what goes down there. But I think Ronda retains.
Yeah, I think Rousey wins too. I think we all see where this is probably going with Ronda Rousey. So, yeah, Rousey wins.
Next one. Here we go. We got Becky Lynch, Charlotte, and Asuka. Triple threat match for the SmackDown Women's Championship. Brother, I'm going with Asuka.
I'm actually going with, I kind of want to go that route, but I am going to go Charlotte because then that way Asuka takes it at Mania. I'm doing like the reverse from last year kind of deal.
Man, people are going to be salty when Charlotte's like a 20-time women's champion.
They're going to be so angry. But yeah, so let me ask you a question, though, brother. Do you think Becky Lynch competes in this match, or
no?
I don't either. I think they hold her out to build to put extra momentum behind her.
Yeah, and that's why I'm going with Asuka because they're trying to make it out like character wise that Charlotte is trying to be like Becky and getting her edge back on and this and that, and I think that's gonna Charlotte's gonna go in there cocky and this and that. I think Asuka's gonna win and surprise the people.
Do you think this starts a feud that lasts all the way to WrestleMania between Asuka and Charlotte?
You know what? Seeing their match at WrestleMania in person this past year was awesome. I thought they had one of the best matches on that show. Mm-hmm. I wouldn't be opposed to it, to be honest with you. If you don't have another signature feud that you have for the SmackDown side, and you have Becky go to Raw and fight Ronda Rousey, like that'd be cool. But
what if the man just went over and grabbed Raw's title and took it back to SmackDown with her, though? Man, never know when the man comes around.
Yeah, the man is for real.
And legit, this is right now. She's the character that they could make it happen and believable and make it like it's a complete coup of Raw's championship. You know what I mean? This is absolutely it would. And obviously we're fantasy booking just because we're fans, but this is something that there might be value in that. Just like the Rollins cash in at WrestleMania. This is something that just because she wins just because maybe she potentially could win Rousey's title, we always assume that means she would go to that show. I mean, just be it pulling Alundra Blaze and take the title to the next show, throw it in the garbage, Tossing it out there.
All right, last one here. I think this one will definitely be the main event of the show. Seth Rollins and Dean Ambrose for the IC Championship. Dean Ambrose. I think he's going to win, actually.
Yeah, I absolutely think Ambrose wins this match. I don't think I'm not even nearly questioning this.
How are you going to feel if Ambrose costs Rollins the Royal Rumble this year? Or they eliminate each other at the same time?
I won't feel anything because it's just a story they want to tell. So I'll just enjoy watching the story. But yeah, you're welcome. You know what though? What I would like to see, what would make me feel happy. I want to see Renee Young get involved in this match. I want to see Renee Young be the cause of. I want to see Renee Young be the reason that Seth Rollins loses this championship, because I do find it somewhat curious that throughout this feud, Renee Young really hasn't ever down-talked Seth Rollins, if you notice. Anytime he's been in different storylines, it's always, but there's obviously a severe storyline with her husband that they haven't, they've torn that down so that she's starting to crack about the questions about him all the time. So what better way to just kind of start to just silence everybody, have her turn heel, she helps her husband win the championship, and then, I don't know. I'm really big into this whole, I know I'm pushing for this maybe a little bit too much, but I think there'd be a lot of, Renee Young's talented enough that they could utilize her for more than just, they should utilize her for as much as they can.
Well, think about this. When you have the combined pay-per-views together, the Raw announcing is by the ringside area. They're not on the stage.
You're right.
So if you have Seth Rollins do like a suicide dive or something, like some type of crazy move like that, Renee could get in front of Ambrose before he
or Rollins could accidentally could accidentally bump her while trying to make a move on Ambrose.
Well, what do you mean, like throwing Ambrose over the announce table and throwing into her?
No, maybe he tries to do some sort of spot, or I don't know. I mean, they could have just like a ref bump. They could have something where he accidentally throws, or somehow they collide, or somehow Renee Young, gets unfortunately hit by either Ambrose or her, or Rollins, and then that just angers Ambrose, and that's what, or if Rollins is the one that accidentally hits her, he feels like he's sorry, he feels sympathy, but Ambrose gets up, gets the cheap win, and then she was, and I'm only saying this because we just had it's the anniversary as we're taping this of the beginning of the McMahon Helmsley era, and nobody saw that coming, right? Stephanie turning on her dad after the big pummeling and all that kind,
Yeah.
So,
Was that an Armageddon?
I believe so, yeah. But I think it's time to insert Renee Young into the storyline a little bit more, at least into Dean Ambrose's character a little bit more. I think she would bring a lot of value to the show. I think it'd be so much fun. It'd be so much fun to have a super antagonistic couple versus, because we really didn't, even with the Miz and Maurice, we didn't really have it to where it was more on the sadistic, not even the sadistic side, more of the I don't give a fuck side, I guess is the best way of saying it.
I want you guys to be on the lookout for Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn in the next couple months. I think they might be coming back soon. So just be on the lookout for that. We'll see what happens with Kevin Owens if he gets back in the title picture or not. But that's something I would look into, by the way. But TLC is coming up this Sunday, the final pay-per-view. There's some really exciting matches, in my opinion, on the show that I'm looking forward to transcribing on Sunday. The show starts at 6 o'clock Central Time, 7 out in the East Coast. 3.5 hour pay-per-view. It's gonna be a fun show. I'm actually looking forward to it now, looking and breaking down some of the matches that's gonna be on the show. It's gonna be a good one, in my opinion.
Yeah, it'll be fun. And I think the Raiders play at 1 o'clock, so I'll have a nice little break between the Raider game and the pay-per-view, so that's good.
Yes. Raiders against the Bengals.
Yeah, we'll probably beat Cincy.
This kind of reminds me of last year where the Bears were already out of the playoffs and they smoked the Bengals in Cincy last year. It was one of Mitch's best games of his rookie year. It could get ugly in Cincy. I think the Raiders are going to win big time this weekend, actually.
Let's not go big time. The Raiders are not going to beat anybody big time. That's overstepping. The Raiders still might. They don't play good at 1 o'clock time slots. We'll just say that.
Will you put more stock in Jeff Driscoll or Derek Carr?
I don't even know what a Jeff Driscoll is, so
that's the quarterback for the Bengals.
Then yeah, but it's you have to understand the Raiders. We're not good in the Eastern time zone at 1 o'clock. We're just not. We're bad. So that's always just in the back of my mind.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, that's going to be wrapping up episode 135 of the Hoots Podcast. Thank you guys so much for checking out the podcast this week. You can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at Notorious. No, actually, scratch that. I said that in the beginning of the show, and I forgot that I made a change this week. So, if you want to find everything that's going on with me in the show, you can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at The Hoots Podcast. So, that's the new Twitter and Instagram handle for yours truly. Same thing goes for Adam. You can follow me on Twitter at AdamDaily13 on Instagram. So, I changed my account, and it's going to be strictly just for the show. And honestly, I really don't have to post personal stuff. I like sharing music and like motivational stuff on like social media stuff or the articles I do. Maybe a couple times here and there I'll share some thoughts around my head or whatever. But really, I'm not giving you guys a daily journal of my life on social media like everybody else does. I've learned over the years of doing this that going on daily diatribes about the product or the business in general, it doesn't do you any favors. And not everybody has to know everything about my personal life. So thank you guys for the support anyways. Make sure to subscribe to the podcast here at youtube.com/The Hoots Podcast. If you have any questions or suggestions, hit us up, thehootspodcast@gmail.com. And that's pretty much it, plugging wise. Oh, ProWrestlingTranscriptions.com, and make sure to support Ring of Honor tomorrow night. Ring of Honor Final Battle 2018 at the Hammerstein Ballroom in New York, New York. So, for the Clown Prince, Adam Daly, I am Notorious Josh Lopez. Thank you guys so much for checking out episode 135 of the Hoots Podcast, and we'll talk to you guys next week. Peace. Enjoy TLC, everybody.
Well, hello, Naito-san. It's Chris Jericho. You know, the guy with the lame makeup. The guy who stole your t-shirt design to make some cash, and I made a lot of cash from that, so I thank you. And more importantly, the guy who beat you for the IWGP Intercontinental Championship this past June at Dominion. You know, it's funny. You say no one's talking about me, but everyone's talking about you, Naito. Everyone's talking about how Chris Jericho kicked your ass at Dominion. How Chris Jericho left you laying and became the IWGP Intercontinental Champion. And I know that's driving you crazy. People talking behind your back. Ever since, you've done nothing of merit. Ever since. And you're right, Naito. I'm an international superstar. But what does it matter? What does it matter where I've been, what I've done, what legends I've beaten? All that matters is I beat you. And it bothers you. But now, on January 4th, you're going to get your chance. You're going to get a rematch on the biggest card in New Japan history. Wrestle Kingdom 13, filled with potential classic matches from the first match to the last match. Well, I'll tell you this. Jericho and Naito, too, it's not going to be a classic. It's going to be a war. It's going to be brutal. And if you think people are talking about you now, Naito, just wait and see what they're talking about on January 5th, the day after the Tokyo Dome. They're going to be saying, wow, I thought Naito got his ass kicked bad at Dominion. But whoa, Chris Jericho destroyed him at Wrestle Kingdom 13. And that's the way it's going to be, Naito, because you're a little fly buzzing around my head. Zzz, smack! Done. I'm going to shut you up for good. Your sarcastic, arrogant little self. Remember, I'm not tranquilo, Naito. I'm crazy. I'm going to prove it again at the Tokyo Dome, Wrestle Kingdom 13. And I'm going to leave the IWGP Intercontinental Championship. Do you understand me? See you then.